Cool. So thanks for coming. So I identify myself as a cyborg because I'm both biologically and psychologically united to cybernetics. So I have a couple of implants in my body that allow me to extend my senses beyond my natural ones. So since 2013, my body is connected to online seismographs that allow me to perceive the seismic activity of the planet in real time. So every time there's an earthquake anywhere in the planet, I feel a vibration in my arm. So now I'm here in Austin, but if there's an earthquake in Japan or in Greece, I will feel a vibration in my left arm. And depending on the intensity of the earthquake, the vibration I would feel is stronger or weaker. So at the beginning, I had to get used to feel all these vibrations constantly every day. But after feeling all these vibrations, after feeling all these motions, when these motions became an emotion, it's when I felt cyborg. It's when I felt that my organism and cybernetics had united and given me a new sense, what I call the seismic sense. It's making noise, I think. So we are used to see the world in this way, with the lines of the continents, but underneath the lines of the continents there are the tectonic plates. There are 10 major tectonic plates, 8 minor plates, and many, many microplates. And the tectonic plates are in constant evolution. They constantly evolve. They release and create tensions. They create earthquakes. And earthquakes are part of our nature. They have always existed. And at the same time, they are a very mysterious phenomenon. In 2010, my childhood friend Neil Harbison and I created the Cyborg Foundation, basically with 3 aims. I'm sorry, it's like it's making noise. What should I do? I think it's like this. Hello, it's better. Okay, sorry. So we created the Cyborg Foundation. No, it's not. What should I do? I can make it shorter. Touch it. Okay. So we created the Cyber Foundation basically with 3 aims. One is to help humans to become cyborgs. The other one is to defend the cyborg rights, like the freedom to be able to design yourself and your own perception. And the third one is to promote cyborg art as an art and social movement. The word cyborg comes from 2 words, cybernetic organism, and it was created to define humans that modify themselves in order to survive in a space. But since it was created, it has been used in many different ways, and like all words, it keeps evolving. But in the endless definition of this word, we tried to nail it down in 3 different ways of being a cyborg. We think that one could be a psychological cyborg, which is the feeling of identifying yourself as a cyborg. Maybe most of you are already psychological cyborgs. Maybe when your mobile phone is running out of battery, instead of saying my mobile phone is running out of battery, say I'm running out of battery. So there's already a connection with technology. The other one could be a biological cyborg, which is the physical union between cybernetics and your organism. And the third one could be a neurological cyborg, which is the modification of the mind through the union between your organism and cybernetics. So if you add a new sense to your body and you wear it constantly, you eventually modify your mind. Also this year, I co-founded Cyborg Nest that Livy was talking about it in the other room. And with this company, we offer sensors that are already made. With Cyborg Foundation, we usually promote the extension of the senses, but like more individual way. We think that it's exciting to think about what you would like to perceive that you cannot perceive with your own senses. We think that it's exciting to see what each individual would like to extend. For me, it was important movement, and maybe someone else would like to perceive something else. We imagine like maybe in 50 years you would go to a bar, and apart from asking like where you're from, you would ask what sense do you have. But in Cybernetics, we offer senses that are already made, and the first one that we offered is the north sense, which is an implant that can be anywhere, but that we suggested to put it in the center of the body, and it vibrates every time you face north. So if you wear this for a long time, you eventually gain the sense of orientation, and it's inspired also like with some sharks and birds can feel also the magnetic north. So I'm a dancer and I'm a movement researcher. Since I've been studying dance, I wanted to perceive movement in the deepest way I could, and I knew that with technology I could do that. And my first experiment that I did, it was about the speed. As humans, we don't have the sense of speed, so I wanted to have my sense of speed. And in order to do that, I created like this kind of glove that I would point at people and would tell me the speed of the people walking in front of me on my glove. But I wasn't that good enough because first of all I had to point at people, and then I saw I saw the information on my hand. So I had like 5.2, and it was like I didn't want to know the speed. I wanted to feel the speed. I didn't want like to use the technology. I wanted to become the technology. So in order to do that, with the help of a friend, we transformed these in a pair of earrings, and I had like two pair of earrings that vibrate every time someone was walking in front of me. So if someone was walking from right to left, I would feel a vibration on my right ear and then on my left ear. And depending on the interval of each vibration, I would know the speed of the people walking in front of me. And that also allowed me to perceive movement in my eyes closed. And I did like a project with that, so I realized that there's like a common sense of how we walk. So you probably will walk faster if you are in London than if you are in Rome. And I found this very fascinating, that there's like this common movement sense. So I decided to do a project of going to each capital of Europe, defining the city by the speed of the citizens. So I created like a movement dictionary. So, and this dictionary, for example, Paris has the movement quality of the people in Paris, or the London and Rome. So I realized that the fastest city in Europe is London, and the slowest is the Vatican City, because basically it's just one line. No one runs there. After experimenting this for a while, I decided to turn around my earrings, and that allowed me to perceive presence behind me. And that changed a lot, like how I experience my surroundings, my space awareness. And I feel that, yeah, all our senses are focused a lot in the front of our body, but in the back of our body is like very dead sensory talking. So this like open like my space awareness, and I feel like actually this sense, we give this sense to our machines. Like cars can feel what they have behind them, but actually we don't feel that, especially in busy cities when a lot of people are trying to go fast and there's someone blocking you the way. I don't know. I really find that useful. I think we all should have feeling what's behind. And after perceiving what we after experimenting with all these senses, like I wanted to perceive something more universal, something that didn't depend on people or objects around me. And as a dancer, I guess you can create movement or you can find movement. And I wanted to find something like, I'm like very interested in finding very imperceptible movement. And I realized that not only humans move, there are many things that move and in many different ways. And the earth is constantly moving, not only rotates, but it shakes every day through earthquakes. And most of the time, it's an imperceptible movement. It's an imperceptible movement, but at the same time, it's a huge movement. But I thought it would be amazing to be able to connect this large movement to my own body and be connected to the earth through that way. So now that I feel the earth constantly, I feel like a good way to describe it is like having two heartbeats. I have my own heartbeat in having the rhythm, and then the earth beat, like that it has its own rhythm and its own all the time constantly beating in its own rhythm. So at the beginning I had to get used to all these vibrations, and sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night if there's a big one, so earth can interrupt my daily life. Sometimes I would pause if there's a big one, but then I don't know, I kind of got used to it. And also I realized that actually, well, I think it's very different to know that the earth is moving than to feel it every day, how alive it is. And also I realized that earthquakes, we have these bad impressions that earthquakes are bad, but actually earthquakes, it's not the bad thing. The bad thing is that humans haven't been able to adapt to this natural phenomena. Earthquakes have always existed, but we've just been building our cities ignoring that our planet is alive and constantly moving. So I see this as a cyborg art. So I feel that now artists, we don't need to use technology as a tool anymore. We can use it as part of our body in order to create a new sense and then create artwork from this new sense. So I guess the artwork of a cyborg artist would be the creation of a new sense. So I feel that my artwork is the seismic sense. So, this would be my artwork, but it's an artwork that happens inside my body. So I'm the only one in the audience. So in order to share my experience, I create external artwork. So I guess cyborg art has two phases. One is the creation of this new sense, and then the second phase is how you share, like the artwork that you create from this new sense. So in order to share my experience, I create different artworks, and one of them is a dance piece that I call Waiting for Earthquakes, where I stand still and wait for an earthquake to take place, and then whenever it happens, I move according to the intensity of the earthquake. So this piece, it's welcoming to the audience just to wait for a while, to wait and to listen to the earth. And I see this also like a duet, like the earth in this case is like the choreographer of the piece, and I'm just interpreting. I'm just an interpreter of the of earth choreography. Um, I also performed this on the streets. This is in New York with a cube, and I remember that night a girl lied down also waiting for earthquakes, and a guy entered to the cube, so like people interact with it. Sorry. I also did this sculpture, which is like a 3D replica of my arm. And it was exhibited in Barcelona in a museum, and visitors were able to touch the arm, and whenever there was an earthquake in real time, they could feel a vibration. So I call this is like a cyborg sculpture because it's a sculpture connected to a living organism, which is, in this case, is the earth. And my other way to share this is also with percussion. Um, I, I play I have two ways of doing this. One is live, so the rhythm of my pieces is based on the rhythm of the tectonic plates. So one, I can do it this live on real time, so it's usually very soft pieces. But I also create scores based on some places determined. For example, the first one I did, it was in Mexico, and I researched all the earthquakes that have happened in Mexico in the last 50 years, and I put them all in 10 minutes. So all the rhythm of the piece was based on the seismic activity that had happened in Mexico in the last 50 years. And I'm going to do the last 100 years of earthquakes in the United States tonight as a performance. It's going to be all in 10 minutes. So it's a way to listen, I guess, to your country, to the seismic activity. And this is like an experiment. Well, it's like a project that we did last summer with Neil. We went to Brazil and we spent a week with 16 very talented people, and we tried to do this prototype of the. We tried to do the. We did for the first time transcendental communication. We called it. Neil and I have a tooth missing in our mouth. Well, Neil has two. I have one. We created like this tooth that you can put in your mouth, and then whenever I click, Neil feels a vibration, and whenever he clicks, I feel a vibration. So Neil and I know the Morse code, so we were able to communicate to each other through Morse code. It's another type of communication to each other without using air and without using words. So it could be a type of communication that you could use under the water or in the space. And we did this performance in Brazil. So I was at the end of the table, and Neil was in the other end of the table, and we had some words, and then the audience would choose the word, and I would send it to Neil, and Neil would pick up the word, and the other way around. So now that I've been feeling earthquakes for a while, and I identify myself as a cyborg. Actually, I don't feel closer to robots or to machines. I feel closer to nature and to other animals living in this planet. I can feel closer to my planet because I can feel that it's vibrating constantly, and also feel closer to other animal species because they can perceive also earthquakes in a different way. And I really believe that we can learn so much from other animal species living in our planet, because sometimes when we think something is very science fiction, or very unnatural is actually very natural. Because if we look in other animal species, we'll realize that, I mean, other animals can fly, some animals can create light, some animals can perceive ultraviolet or infrared, and even immortality already exists in nature because there's a jellyfish that never dies. So I think that if we can, I mean, I feel that we have to admire other animal species, and if we take some of their senses and apply it to our body, our way of perceiving the planet will change, and so will our understand of the planet and our behavior. Okay, with a breath. So I feel that maybe in this century, rather than giving new senses to our machines and to our cars and to our phones, we can give new senses to ourselves and to our bodies. Maybe instead of keep changing the environment, it's time to change ourselves in order to live more according to our planet. So for example, if we take a look at light, for example, we haven't developed night vision like some other species have. So maybe it would be more logical to create night vision instead of creating all this artificial light. I guess if Edison had invented the night vision instead of the light bulb, we'd still be able to see the stars at night. And the artificial light created by us, it's creating so much pollution and energy waste that it's damaging our planet. Also, I think the word cyborg was also created to extend the human experience, and it also said that it would free the man to explore. And I think humans are natural explorers and people that evolve. And actually, my aim this year is to be connected to the seismic activity on the moon, to feel the moonquakes. So this will allow me to be, I guess, in the two places at the same time, and I want this new sense on my feet. So this will allow me to be physically on Earth, but have my feet on the moon. We feel that we can all extend our senses to space. Like our senses no longer need to be attached to our own body. If we use internet as a sense, we can feel things that are happening very far from us. Like I can feel earthquakes that are happening in the other side of the planet, but we can also feel things that are happening outside this planet and space. So we can all become maybe sensonauts and mindstronauts. We can be physically on Earth, but we can send our senses on space and explore space with new senses. So to finish, I think that we are the ones who need to make sure that the union between humans and technology does not alienate us from nature, but instead bring us closer to it, to other animals and to space. Thank you.
Jason Barnes. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So a little bit about myself. I'm 27 years old. Been a musician pretty much my whole life since I was about 12 years old. Grew up playing guitar, drums, etc., etc. When I was 22, I was involved in an electrical accident at work, which ultimately resulted in me being hospitalized for over a month and doing multiple surgeries and eventually amputating my right hand. Now, since all of this happened, again, like I said, I was a musician before, so it kind of completely devastated me, made me extremely depressed, and I didn't really know how it would go on, and that was around the time that I kind of started getting into all of this like modern day tech, implantable technology and things like that. So shortly after I was released from the hospital, I started trying to find a way to get my sanity back and be able to play drums again. So I started trying to co-develop a drumming prosthesis, non-robotic. It just kind of works off basic mechanics and a spring to give me my ability to play drums again. So I have a short video here kind of demonstrating how that works. This is so big. So essentially how it works is, I don't know if that's kind of blurry to you guys, it looks blurry to me. There's a spring, there's a point in my wrist that has 1 millimeter of play in it, of flexion, and then I also have a spring that came off of a kick drum. So what it does, it allows me to hit the drum, and I can either leave it and get bounces or pull it away for a single stroke. After I developed this arm, I started kind of going down the road of all this technology stuff, and I had this idea of developing a robotic drumming prosthesis which worked the exact same way that these do, which is via EMG. So essentially, I could flex this muscle, the hand closes, flex this muscle, the hand opens. The drum arm that I designed essentially would work the same way, so I could flex the muscle and it would tighten the grip on the stick, or flex the outer muscle and it would loosen the grip on the stick. I had no knowledge of any of this type of technology, nor prosthetics or anything like that, and thought that this was kind of a far-fetched idea and it wasn't going to go anywhere. Long story short, one of my teachers mentioned the idea to one of his private students who happened to be a student at Georgia Tech, and mentioned it to one of his professors, and since then we started kind of co-developing this robotic arm and multiple other musical robots. So we have a robot named Shimon, if I can pull this up, which essentially, why is this so big over here? Okay, there we go. So yeah, what we've done with Shimon here is we've basically implanted music theory from different jazz musicians, Miles Davis, Coltrane, et cetera, et cetera. And so the robot, when you turn it on, it has eyes, it has ears, it listens to any musician, whether it be guitar or drums or anything like that. And it has beat detection, so it can listen to the music, eventually gather the beat, start bobbing its head, and then it also has pitch detection, so it can determine whether or not I'm playing jazz type music or country or rap, whatever you like. And so it actually improvises in real time with using the brain of, again, those jazz musicians, which kind of creates a whole new aspect to music and things like that. It creates a lot of interactions you wouldn't normally have without this kind of stuff. And so I saw his videos and then contacted him, and then we started working on this robotic drum arm. And essentially how it works is the EMG and then the second stick uses kind of the same algorithms as Shimon does, and it has an accelerometer on the arm, so I can flip the arm out. As soon as I throw it up in the air, the second stick can come out, and then I can start playing with the second stick, and it improvises the same way. It listens to the music, gathers beat detection, et cetera, and then will throw its own accompaniment into it. Sometimes frustrating, sometimes pretty interesting. Again, this is just like a robot with a mind of its own that I'm sitting here jamming with. So the outcomes are always kind of hit or miss. Sorry if I seem a little unprepared, guys. I've had technical issues all weekend, and luckily my friend Ollie let me use his computer so I can pull up some of this stuff for you guys. So here's a video that kind of explains what we do at Georgia Tech a little bit better. Like I said, I don't have my computer or any of my stuff on it, so this is all kind of on the spot. I guess you guys probably can't hear it. So there's two sticks. Each stick can play a combined 20 hits per second. So again, I think the fastest human speed is like 10 or 11 hits per second. So it creates So again, sounds that you wouldn't normally be able to do, other, humanly possible. Come on. I was trying to pull up the video I was just explaining to you guys.
In his lab, he and his team are trying to develop robots able not only to faithfully recreate songs, but also to show creativity and improvise.
I'm Gil Weinberg, and I look for robots to inspire me musically. If I can create an algorithm that creates new music that is meaningful for people, this is creative. For me, it was very interesting to get to the core of understanding the musical creation and musical creativity aspect is to program this algorithm into a body. I think robots is a great way to explore what the music creation aspect is about, because it has a digital brain and it has the body that can provide the visual cues, the acoustic sound, and what we call embodiment, the understanding that you have a body in which you can create music and body that other musicians will respond to. In our case, we have a robot that has 8 arms. It knows it has 8 arms. It knows that if he wants to play something really, really fast on one side, not all 8 arms can come there together. They will collide with each other. So we have to come up with ideas that actually it can play, to come up with something that is not only beautiful, but also doable physically. We worked on Shimon for 8 years now. Shimon can decide what's interesting for him, and if it's interesting, it will look at you, it will maybe even squint at you, it will try to nod with approval, and just playing with that robot telling you, good job, it's a weird and interesting and fun experience. Even though I programmed it and I put the numbers and I know exactly how much percentage of each musical element, suddenly something came back that was awesome, that was beautiful. The idea is that it will send shivers down your spine, or I don't know, make you cry, or because if you do that, you know that you created something good. So I didn't cry yet, but there was moments that really were interesting for me, and we're trying to make these moments coming again and again. I'm not building robots in order to imitate humans or to replace humans. I've been asked that too. Are you going to replace musicians? You're evil. So I don't think we can if we wanted to, but this is not my goal. My goal regarding soul and sensibility is for these machines, because they are so sophisticated, brain-wise and body-wise, to bring something new for me, to make me think about music differently, to make me play differently, and me respond to them in a way that I would never respond to humans. And if I did that, I will have a check mark, and maybe then I will start to think about soul in them. But I'm not there yet. It's too big for me at this point.
Georgia Tech researchers are also exploring another avenue, the augmented musician. Gil Weinberg's team have developed a bionic prosthesis for Jason Barnes, a young drummer who had his right arm amputated. This bionic arm is controlled by Jason's muscle impulses and helps him recover the subtle movements of a drummer without disabilities. What's more, he's equipped with 2 smart drumsticks which can be controlled or work autonomously.
20 hertz.
All right, let's do it.
One stick is playing 20 hertz, 20 times a second, really, really fast. You can create rhythms based on your body gestures that are over the sophisticated rhythm and humanly impossible rhythms that the arm creates. And that, again, was a very unique experience. Now we're traveling with Jason and we're performing with him. We just came back from Australia. The headline in the newspaper was, "The fastest drummer in the world arrived to Australia." He was a limited drummer. Now he can do things that no other drummer can do. I'm very interested in the future of augmented humanity. Some people call it transhumans. When technology and humans really evolve together and become the same. And from anything for people with disabilities that could not play otherwise, but can think about amazing ideas, have the machine being part of the body, helps them express their creativity, to people who are great musicians, but this kind of embedded wearable devices, maybe even implantable in the future, I don't know, can actually enhance their creativity.
And then another project
To go
we have
even
going
further,
is
the
this
team is
third arm
testing for the
project.
first time a revolutionary smart arm prototype controlled by thought.
And essentially how it works, is EEG. And we also use like a Kinect from an Xbox. And so it has a camera in front of the drum set. And depending on where you look or where your body is, the third arm, again, will play where it thinks it needs to. Still in the works, basic technology here. Well, not basic, but. So if you notice, every time he looks to the other drum and arm, yeah, so again, these are all prototypes that we've been working on. Since then, I recently started getting involved in the electronic music world and kind of had these ideas of building an arm. So for live performances, I would use this hand DJ, but also have a lot of other gadgets on it. So I have a fireball shooter, if you will, developed that I'm trying to get implanted into the arm, and also other sound-activated neon lights and stuff, so they actually will pick up pulse from bass and music and then react accordingly. Also doing some kind of experiments, again, with accelerometers and stuff like that on how to control when the fireballs shoot out, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, any questions, guys, for me or Moon? That's about all I got for you. Slightly, but not enough. Slightly. Yeah. You're talking with like a motion capture glove? They're oh yeah, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah, I'm yeah. I mean, the options are endless. So how the EEG works with that is essentially from him looking his head. That's where most of that's coming from, and then his eye movement as well is where it's picking up. So I mean, EEG is not very accurate. We all know it just kind of picks up electrical signals. So you can only get so much data from that, but that's essentially how that works. Is it's through EEG and then the Connect camera. Slightly. Well, the Connect doesn't know exactly what he does with his eyes and stuff either. So anytime, so like when I did studies with EEG at Georgia Tech to try and use EEG to control the drum arm based on thought and stuff, essentially we kind of had the same thing. There's just not enough valuable data there to create something like viable, you know. Anybody else? No? Go on. Pretty far away. I mean, that's in the realm of artificial intelligence and stuff like that. So, again, where we're at, we're not trying to replace musicians or anything like that. We're just trying to create something new here. So, kind of a hard question to answer there on that one.
Yeah, but the robot, it looks like he's being creative, no? Yeah.
Slightly improvised and stuff, but again, the artificial intelligence in there, that's something like we programmed and stuff. So it thinks a certain way and it improvises that, but it still is only going to think on these basic guidelines. You know what I mean? It can't go outside of that box at all. Stuff we're working on, you know, with machine learning and stuff like that, but we're not really having any good results right now. Yep. Not necessarily. So if you were to play like a 20-minute long piece, it would listen to the piece, and I mean, you could call it fusion, you know, to change the styles of music throughout it, and it would kind of learn, but again, it's still just based off its own code that, you know, that we wrote into it. The drum stuff, or yeah, there's a couple of the cyborg drum stuff on YouTube, and I think on the Shimon robot website they have some clips and stuff on there. We have like a couple original pieces that we wrote with Georgia Tech.
And tonight, no?
Tonight, no. So tonight I'm just DJing.
Um,
Again, I've had so many technical difficulties before I even came. So that should go well. Not yet. Not yet. Broken phone, broken computer, broken equipment. Machine God hates me. Anybody else?
I don't know. I think our brain is very plastic and can adapt very easily to new inputs. But for me, I see this as an evolution. So I started with something and it keeps evolving. And now for me, it's perceive something in the space. So maybe if I'm really into the moon quains, maybe I would leave to perceive Earth. I don't know. But I will see. For me, it's like experimental and evolving. So if I see it's too much, then maybe I'll keep going for another other ones. I don't know. I guess everyone it's different. It's like how many languages can you learn or how many things that you're able to learn. It's like I have no idea. I guess it's a lot. We can learn a lot. We have so much brain that we don't use. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.